You're listening to all of it on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. As children, we are often curious, imaginative, silly, and willing to ask just about anything. But somewhere along the way, we become more anxious, sometimes a little less joyful. My next guest has spent the last 5 years asking kids about everything from love, anger, death, Spider-Man, and even farts in his viral series, Recess Therapy. You remember Tariq, who just loved corn?
For me, I really like corn.
What do you like about corn?
Ever since I was told that corn was real, it tasted good.
Did you think corn wasn't real?
But when I tried it with butter, everything changed. I love corn. Corn.
Do you think everyone should be eating corn?
No, not everyone has to like it to be the best.
Yeah.
Everyone just has to try it. Have a bite.
Now, Julian's collected some of those lessons and new ones in his book, How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown-Up, Big Lessons from Little Kids. Julian Shapiro is a comedian, writer, and interviewer known for his online shows, Recess Therapy, Celebrity Substitute, and Outside Tonight. And he joins us now in studio. It's nice talking to you.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
Listeners, we want to hear from you. What is something you've learned from a child in your life? Maybe it's a lesson about curiosity, honesty, confidence, imagination, or simply how to enjoy the moment. Call in and tell us about that moment when a child surprised you and taught you something. 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. You can call in, join us on air, or you can text that number as well, or you can reach out on social media at all of it WNYC. So the title is How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown-Up. What does grown-up mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think we all have our own definitions of what it means to be a grown-up, but I think my big takeaway is that it's fake. We put it on. Mm-hmm. We all have this shared understanding of what it means to be a kid. We all are kids together, and then somewhere along the way, we start to tack on these ideas of what adulthood is. And my kind of realization, spending a lot of time with kids, is that we do this to protect ourselves. Yeah. We start to feel like the world we start to realize that the world is a hard place to be in. And we think that growing up or becoming an adult is going to be a way to be safer or not feel as embarrassed or ashamed or stand out as much. But what I want to say with this book, or what I've really seen, is that to live out the way that kids act as an adult is actually incredibly valuable and powerful. I think it's hard to appreciate being a kid while you are one. I think there's a lot of wonderful, brilliant things about being a kid that's lost on the kids themselves because they're rushing towards adulthood.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to take all of their brilliance and say, hey, adults, listen up. You can do it again. Now that you're an adult, you don't have to be a kid, but you can take some of that back in your day-to-day.
You spent a lot of time interviewing children.
Lots of time.
Yeah. What makes a great question when you're talking to a child?
That's a fantastic question. You know, I started doing this when I was 21 years old, and the whole thought behind it was, how can I become a better adult by putting my insecurities in front of kids? Because what I really quickly realized was that kids were dealing with a lot of the same problems that we adults were dealing with. But they were able to talk to me about them in a really simplified way. Like, they were able to, and I say this as a positive, strip some of the nuance away from it.
Yes.
So I would have to, in asking kids about these complicated things that I was stressed about, make them less complicated for myself even. So I think when asking kids a really good question, you have to make it simple, open-ended, and exciting. And then my trick for interviewing is to just be like so excited about the first thing that kids are excited about. So I think that's all they really want from adults is for somebody to just match their energy and double down on whatever they want to talk about. So that's been my trick for the past 5 years.
Do you have to remind yourself, your grown-up self, to be less grown up when you're talking to kids?
Personally, I mean, me, no. I have to remember to be less grown up when I'm not with kids, but it luckily is something that I really feel like whenever I'm with kids, it's something that I really slip back into. Before I did this as a job, I taught kids improv. I have a lot of cousins and family members that are kids, and a lot of the times I have felt before I started recess therapy or anything, I would be like, oh, this feels like a more natural version of myself when I'm playing and being free. And I was like, there's something interesting to explore there. And then it turned into a career.
Part of this book includes memories of your childhood. Who did you talk to about things that were bothering you or that you just had questions about?
Yeah. The book is not a memoir by any means, but
it isn't, but you get into
there's a great primary resource in all of us for childhood, and that is ourselves. I think a lot of adults forget that we were once kids, but we are. Who did I talk to when I was a kid? I had a really interesting upbringing. I was raised by 3 lesbian moms and 2 gay dads. I had a big queer family. I was raised in Brooklyn. And I think having so many adults in my life, I was talked to like an adult as a kid myself. And I think from a very young age, I was able to see the excitement and power in being taken that seriously from such a young age.
So interesting.
And then when I started doing what I do, I was like, ooh, let me transpose that. Let me treat kids with that same level of respect because I saw how awesome it was.
We got a nice text that says, just want to say how much I love him and recess therapy.
Thank you.
My guest is Julian Shapiro Barnum. He's joining us to talk about his new book, How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown-Up. Listeners, we want to hear from you. What's something you've learned from a child in your life? Maybe it's a lesson about curiosity or imagination. Call and tell us a moment when a child has surprised you. Our phone number is 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. Zeke is calling in from Park Slope. Hey, Zeke, thanks for taking the time to call all of it.
Hey,
Hi, Zeke.
Hey, Alice. It's always a pleasure. I haven't talked to you in a while. But anyway, I had a grown-up moment from a little child. So, when a woman wants to talk, sometimes she doesn't want a response. She just wants to talk. And she wants a guy to just shut up and listen. And I've been poor at that in my previous relationships. And one day, this little girl, she was about 6, 7 years old, walking down the street, and she just has a meltdown. And I'm standing there and watching. I go, what's the matter? And she gives me a look of death. Basically like, shut up, just listen while I have a breakdown. And I looked at her mom, and her mom laughs. I go, I get it. So I remember calling my ex and going, I now get it. Sometimes you just want to show your emotions. You don't need me to talk. You just want me to be there. So.
Understood. Zeke, thanks for calling in. This text says, as someone who has taught kids since I was 15, am now 22, I found that talking to kids as if they were your friends, sort of the same age, they become more responsive, not sure why. Did you have that experience?
Yeah, I think when you treat them with respect and dignity, I mean, that's maybe talking to anybody, but I think it makes them open up. Can I speak to something on Zeke's point?
Sure, of course.
I mean, a big thing I talk about in the book is the way that kids handle their emotions in general. When kids have their feelings, they feel them really big and really fast. If they're upset about something, they might have a meltdown on the street. If they're excited about something, they might skip around the room and like jump and clap. Like when a kid feels something, they show it with their whole body. They let their feelings have their way with them. When adults feel something, if we deem it to be the wrong time or wrong space, if we don't deem it to be, or if we don't want to deal with that feeling when it's happening, we save it for later. I think this is really detrimental because I think what happens is we end up, the feeling takes so much longer to work its way through us. And especially when it's negative feelings or painful feelings, I think that ends up hurting us. My recommendation, or what I've been really trying to work on in my life, is feeling my feelings more in real time like kids. And I'm not saying have temper tantrums at all. Please don't. But I think there is some merit to noticing what you're feeling and listening to your body in real time. I think a lot of what I have noticed and what I've been trying to glean from kids is just listening to what your body is telling you. I think so much of being a grown-up is to listen to your impulses and go, that's not for me. That's not right now. And what kids do is the exact opposite. And there's so much to be gained from really listening.
We're going to hear from Roman.
Oh, yes. Let's listen to Roman.
First of all, in your chapter calling feeling in the present tense, we're talking about feelings.
Perfect segue.
Can you describe Roman before we hear from him? Yeah,
Roman, good friend of mine. We met in Park Slope, of all places. He was walking around with a trash picker-upper and a trash bag, just picking up trash in his free time. He wears suits a lot of the time.
Sure.
He says mother instead of mom. and he wears aviator sunglasses. He is a dapper young man, and he is the most emotionally intelligent kid that I've ever met.
Let's listen to this clip of Roman sharing his advice for adults about sharing their feelings.
I'd say, look, you don't have to share your feelings, but if you don't just express it and let it out, then you're never going to be happy. The only way to be happy is to just, be happy. Just try to not let this bad thing stay with you.
The funniest part is, look.
Look, he's setting me right. Yeah,
He's letting you know.
We did that interview in Cobble Hill. I did all new interviews for the book. I wanted to, there's so many wonderful interviews for recess therapy, and I said I wanted to give the reader something new and fresh for this time around. So we did that interview in Cobble Hill, and before we started, he said, "Mother, can you go sit over there so I can talk to Julian?" Because he wanted to really set things right. But yeah, I agree with Roman. That's a lesson that a lot of kids have really iterated and reiterated to me, is just, you're not gonna be happy if that's always the goal. You have to accept and honor and let even feelings of hatred and feelings that we really fight to feel, we have to accept that those are just part of the human experience. Kids don't judge or deem any feelings better or worse than others. They're really good at just accepting that all feelings are good feelings, even if we don't like having them.
I'm talking to Julian Shapiro Barnum. His new book is called How. You're listening to All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. My guest is Julian Shapiro Barnum. He's joining us to talk about his new book, How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown-Up. Let's take a couple calls, Julian. Let's talk to Stephen in Queens. Hey, Stephen, thanks for taking the time to call All of It.
Oh, hello. Show.
Oh, great.
Yes. Well, I'm a puppeteer, so I spend a lot of time around kids, entertaining them and working with them. And I think what your guest is saying is right spot on. I think that what kids really, really love is making fun of the powers above them, the things that kind of rule their lives, the bullies and the people in charge. If you can make fun of them, they love it. And we play that a lot in our shows that we do it all over the cities and libraries and schools and wherever. And it works every time. Works for adults too, but especially for kids.
Thank you so much for calling in, Stephen. Did you find that?
I did, and also, Stephen, thank you. I trained as a puppeteer, so that's
lovely.
awesome that you do that. Kids do not like authority or the rules. It's something I talk a lot about in the book. I talk about it because to be a kid is to have a disdain for authority. And that's awesome because kids are constantly testing the boundaries of what they can do. And in that, there's so much room for them to discover. They discover things about themselves, what they like, what they don't like, what they can and cannot do. When they are young, they're always exploring and finding new things. As they get older, as we become ourselves, the adults stop telling us what to do, and we start becoming our own adults who tell us what we can and cannot do. I think we need to not be our own adults in our head. I think we need to break our own rules, the rules that we are setting for ourselves, limitations that the grown-ups in our brain are setting for ourselves, because I think we still need to have disdain for authority, but the authoritarian voice in our own heads.
Let's talk to Emily. She's calling in from Croton-on-Hudson. Hi, Emily. Thanks for calling All of It.
Hi. So I just got back from being the chef and gardener at a summer camp. Oh. And definitely everything that you've been talking about, I relate to really strongly, because going into this job, I was really afraid because I was supposed to be growing this garden and then using the vegetables to cook for the kids. And everyone's like, oh, kids won't eat that. Kids don't like this, whatever. But then, and I feel like adults were always trying to overcomplicate, like what's healthy, what's unhealthy, how much food should I eat? But then I just made the vegetables and I made them well, and the kids were just, like you said, they had their own authority. It's like, well, I like that or I don't like that. And it wasn't about what they're told not to like. They're just so honest with their own bodies and their own tastes. And I think that adults, when it comes to food, we could be more like that.
Thanks for calling in, Emily. What makes kids so honest?
I don't think they're afraid of rejection in the same way adults are at all. I wrote a chapter in the book about how to make new friends because I think that's something adults really struggle with. It's something I've struggled with. And I've spoken to so many kids about how to make new friends, and they always say the same thing. I say, how do you make new friends? And the kids say, well, go up to somebody and ask them if they want to be your friend, as if it is the simplest thing in the world. Because I think to a lot of kids, it really is that simple. I'm not trying to make a blanket statement, but I really do believe, and I've seen it, I don't believe it, I know it, that kids are taught and live in a world where the way to connect is just to go up and put yourself out there. And a no is possible and likely, and it's not the end of the world.
Completely.
Yeah.
No, it's like,
just,
okay,
very
I'll go
real-
to the next person.
Exactly.
That's all you need. I learned that from my dog.
Yeah. From a dog?
From my dog. Because he could walk up and be like, hey, you want to be my friend? The other dog was
They're
like,
like,
nah.
no.
He's like, okay.
But I think
Welcome
we
to the
need
next
to-
dog. Want to be my friend?
Exactly. We don't have to fear the rejection. We don't have to fear the no. It doesn't say anything about us
At all.
personally, but adults feel that way. I understand it.
Let's talk to, I think it's Bezad from Syosset, New York. Hello. Thanks for calling all of it.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I'm a pediatrician. I see the babies and the kid day in life for many, many years. I always have this, to open a question with them. He said, what do you want to do when you grow up? Everybody give me an answer. I want to be a soccer player, I want to be a football player, a fireman. Many years ago, I asked a little kid, African-American kid, asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? He's about 4 or 5 years old. Kid is thinking and thinking and thinking. I said, my mom is saying, tell me what they want to do when you grow up. And the kid turned around and said, I want to be happy. I said, wow,
God.
that's a very profound answer. Because they still have after many years, I remember this kid. And the way he said it to me, he said, gee, that's want to be happy. It doesn't matter what you do in your life. As long as you're happy, you're okay. If you're not happy, it doesn't matter what you do. I think that was very interesting for me to listen to this little kid.
That's a very interesting point. You make that point in your book,
Yes.
Julian. The book asks why we trade, quote, dream jobs for high-paying ones, tree climbing for social climbing. Kids are less concerned with being good enough. What can adults learn from that?
Yeah, I used to really not like asking the kids, the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because it felt to me, I thought I was better than that question. I'm not. Kids love answering that question because kids love to dream about growing up and doing the thing that they love most. And I think that's a great lesson that we can take when thinking about our own work-life balance. Your job isn't always going to be the thing that fills your cup. It just isn't all the time. Kids have to go to school. A lot of kids don't like going to school. But what they do have are these extracurriculars or these passions. Kids have so many things that get them out of bed at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning because they are just so excited for life and for their day. And I think just having hobbies and passions and things that make you excited to get up in the morning that aren't just your job are a must. And I think a lot of adults don't have that or lose sight of that. And I think kids have shown me just the necessity of having joy outside of work.
Let's talk to Naomi, who's calling in from Montclair. Hey, Naomi, thanks for calling all of it. You're on the air.
Hey, Allison, and hi, Julian. I think this is a wonderful show. I'm a long-time listener. This is the first time I've been able to reach you anyway, because I am a frequent caller, but not to your program. But I so appreciate you talking about kids. I'm a teacher, a special ed teacher. I've been doing that for years, but the kid I learned the most from was my son. I'm sorry. He's passed away, but the kid that I learned the most from was my son, and he was the kindest person I ever knew, not just to me, but to everyone. And he was the most compassionate person I ever knew, and he also protected other children, which I didn't know about until he passed away, except for one child that someone once came up to him on the street when he was with one of his best friends, and this guy said, they were talking about how they needed batteries for a toy. And he came up and he said, I have some batteries. Why don't you come up with me? And my son took his friend and he pulled him down the street.
Oh,
This is the kind of kid my son was. Sorry for
it's okay. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing this really incredible story of your child. We really do appreciate it, Naomi.
Thank you.
I really do. I did want to get into one issue.
Sure.
Kids like being creative.
Yes.
What can grown-ups learn from kids about being creative?
You know, kids have this imagination that is unlike anything else. I would do anything to even have an hour or even 5 minutes with the imagination that a kid has again, just because it's so active and so powerful. But I think the thing that is so beautiful and moving to me about the imagination of children is that it's this two-pronged thing. Kids imagine these fantastical, beautiful things, one, mainly because they don't have the agency to do a lot of these things themselves. They dream about all the things that they want to one day do, and then they put it on their feet. They play pretend. They dream that they'll become a pirate or that they'll be a pirate, and then they run around the living room pretending to be a pirate. It's this immediate two-step process of thinking about it, imagining about it, and then living it out in their body. Adults do the first part. We still daydream. We still imagine, but it gets lost somewhere in our synapses. We don't, like I said earlier, listen to our body, listen to our desires. But the thing is, we do have the agency. We don't have to play pretend. We can play pretend in real life. We can actually do the things that we dream about. And they don't have to be fantastical things. They can be actionable things. And I talk a lot about in the book how even in the smallest, maybe seemingly insignificant ways, we can get used to taking our imagination and translating it into our body and into action.
The name of the book is How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown-Up, Big Lessons from Little Kids. It's by Julian Shapiro Barnum. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for taking calls.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for calling in.